جلو بشین.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The sisters are saying there is no sound.
صلوات بر محمد و آل محمد.
قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. I swear by the fig. Sisters, please, let's agree on some rules before we start. If you could refrain from talking or storytelling for the next 45 minutes, we are all grateful. I swear by the fig and the olive and by Tur, the Mount of Sinai, and by this peaceful place or city. We have created man in the best composition, then we turned him into the lowest of the low, except those who believe and are righteous, for them there is never-ending reward. As usual, we start with a recap of last night's conversation. The theme of the youth within our community was the subject that I spent few nights dwelling on. And because of the time constraint, I had no other alternative but to leave it for another occasion. But as I was explaining, I outlined that from an Islamic point of view, Islam does not believe that there is an inherent or intrinsic problem or chaos in the youth. What we have the wealth of evidence is that there is certainly tension, and the tension is primarily as a consequential rather than intrinsic. It's the consequence of the failure of the institutions that were given the responsibility of looking after the youth and preparing them for the future work and their responsibility, and they fail. Whether it's the family, sisters, will you be kind enough to leave this until I finish? Whether it's the family to begin with, the educational establishment, the social services, the environment in general, the mosques and religious establishment, what happens is a collective failure. And the youth in our generation are not prepared, they are ill-equipped, uninformed, ill-prepared for their responsibility which is in the world outside. And as a result, they expose to the challenges outside, they are not prepared for it, and tension is created. I also cited a number of hadith in praise of the youth, and finally made the remark that those who intend to begin searching for a solution for the challenge and the tension that exists, they need to qualify themselves with a number of characteristics. Tonight, I want to move to a different issue. The verse that I started with, or a chapter that I started with, Surah Al-Teen, or the fig, outlines few critical issues. Quran in general defines a unique genre that when it comes to the critical points or very important issues, particularly around the end of the Quran, these issues are outlined, unpacked, or described after a number of swearing to critical issues or factual issues. Here is no exception. Quran begins by swearing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins by swearing fig and the olive. Scholars, the exegesis, those who have the responsibility or they are well equipped to interpret Quran, they have explained or at least suggested a number of meaning for the fig and the olive. Some is as a reference to a particular place, the Levant or the Sinai, and Mecca as a source of revelation. The verse says, I swear by fig and the olive, and by Tur, which is Mount Sinai, and by this peaceful city, Mecca. These become the subject of swearing. But as a somehow step towards referring to a different or making reference to a different issue, which according to the Quran is very essential and critical. Indeed, man, we have created man in the best of composition. Yet, man is willfully negligent and has wanton disregard for his potentiality, while we have created humanity to become Khalifatullah, the vicegerents of Allah on earth. Normally, or in most cases, then they sink lower than the beast, asfal as-safil. There is no way out. The only way out of this crisis is for them to believe and be righteous. If you look at verses in the Holy Quran, occasionally examples are given of individuals that they become the embodiment of all human values. For example, we have chapter 16, verse 120, Inna Ibrahim kana ummah قانتا لله حنيفا ولم يكن من المشركين. Indeed, surely Ibrahim was a whole community in himself. One person embodies the entire values that you need to have in what we call an ideal or preferred community. Yet at the same time, there are verses that it becomes critical of humanity because of their lack or not using their brain or the faculty of intellect, and ultimately being lower than animals and the beasts. لَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا لِجَهَنَّمَ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ. This is Surah A'raf 179. Surely we have created for punishment magnitude of people. From jinn and from mankind, they have hearts, but they never use. They have eyes, but they never use. They have ears, but they never use. It's not reference to these physical senses outside that we constantly use in our lives. It's reference to the inner heart, the inner eye, the inner ears that we're supposed to use to be able to guide ourselves to the right path in society. أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. The verse is explicit. These people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them all these blessings, has given them all the power to be able to distinguish right from wrong, and somehow willfully neglect these potentialities, they sink even lower than the beast. So humans may possess the physical likeliness of human beings, but depending on human inner character, we can distinguish them whether they are part of beast kingdom or part of human kingdom. Quran criticizes humanity and reminds human beings that we have the potential to become higher than angels. Why is it we sink so low that we become worse than beasts? Ashura becomes one of those classic examples of both sides, both types of humanity coming together. If somebody turns the light off and we close our eyes and we make an intellectual journey back in history, we go back to the night of Ashura, the year 61 after Hijrah, and we have a bird's eye view of what's happening around. We see two camps. In the darkness, one camp is preparing for the hereafter, one camp is preparing for tomorrow for material reward. They say that on the day of the 9th day of Muharram year 61 after Hijrah, things began to change. Shamr walks into Karbala with a new command that the situation cannot continue. We need an immediate resolution. Hussein has to accept Bay'at Yazid or finish. Even challenge Ibn Sa'd that if you don't want to do it, I will. Remember, Shamr is the one that participated in the Battle of Siffin on the side of Ali. This is a guy that has walked from Medina to Mecca 16 times for Hajj. He becomes a clear embodiment of everything evil. The Asfal al-Safilin, why? Karbala sets the pure human example or real example, a vivid example of sunken humanity and elevated humanity. Just for the sake of argument. As we descend on that night to the camps, we walk into the tents of Imam Hussein. You walk into a tent in which he stands to deliver a speech, turns the lights off, and says that I see no other family purer than mine. Yet, I see no other disciples more loving and caring than you. These beasts want me, not you. Use the cover of the darkness. Go. I have removed Bay'ah from you. Tonight, on such a night, the night of the 9th, Abu Abdullah literally sieves his disciples and those that are with him for tomorrow's battle. Removes the non-pure from the pure. The jewel will stay. Those who are not worthy, they have to walk out. And when you listen to the kind of response that he receives from his followers, it's astonishing. You see people all, last night and the night before, I said that the verse in the Holy Quran, some of the verses that I recited, or the chapters that I recited, literally outlines the period of ascension from early weakness until power, the youth, and then goes back to the descent and ultimately old age. We see Karbala becoming a clear manifestation of the entire spectrum. You have a child 6 months old, you have children around 3.5, 4, you have children early teenagers of 10, 11, 12, then you move towards 13, 14, 15, and ultimately beginning of the 20s to late 20s, early 30s, and so on. But these people stand up, and after Imam has delivered the speech, they all say, how could we? Some refer to the concept of haqq and batil, that this is a classic example of haqq and batil, and we are not going to leave you as the symbol, the embodiment of haqq, to accept the authority of batil. It's not possible. The others refer to their love for Ahlul Bayt. How could we live few days more, even few years? What are we going to answer on the day of judgment to your grandfather and your mother, that for the sake of few comfortable days we let go of their grandson or her son? Some of them even said that if we are burned, killed, burned, and then given life again, burned, killed, etc., for 1,000 times, we are not going to change. This is one camp. The historians claim that in this camp there was a buzz like a beehives during that particular night. All praying. They all knew that this is going to be the last night of the night. When Shamr comes and instructs Ibn Sa'd that he has to start the battle, Imam sends his brother Abbas to ask for one night extension. And his comment is, ask them to give us one extra night so we can pray and prepare ourselves psychologically for our battle tomorrow and the move from this world to the next. Tomorrow in the afternoon we see the same thing. If tonight he sieves his disciples to see the foreign agents within them that they don't deserve to be with him, tomorrow afternoon he sieves to see whether in the opponent there are jewels and gems that are still hiding. Can they join him? هل من ناصر ينصرنا? Tomorrow is a day, tonight for all of us should be a day of making decisions. Because tomorrow afternoon we have to stand and say labbaik. Yes, we are ready to continue with your message. If we are not prepared to cleanse ourselves and mentally and spiritually be ready tonight, I don't think such a position would be possible tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, Hur, you have all heard of the story, stands on the side. He is well known among Kufa as the best of the best, the champion. One of our brothers a few nights ago, as he was reciting his ta'azi about Hur, he made a comment, Brother Mahdi, I believe he was. He said that when the initial confrontation took place between Hur and 1,000 of his soldiers with the one Hussein, Imam made the reference, may your mother mourns your loss. ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمَّكَ. And what did he respond? He said, I'm well known to be the champion of Kufa. I would have responded if your mother was somebody else, but what can I do? Your mother is Fatima az-Zahra. I can't say anything. On the day of Ashura, that basic belief comes to his rescue. He stands on the side and looks around. Now the battle is polarization. Polarization has taken place. The battle is going to take shape and the attack will take place. What does he say? He tells his son, Ya bunay, oh my son, let's move. لا صبر لي على النار. I have no power, no resistance to be punished by fire. فسر بنا إلى الحسين. Let's go. Let's go to the camp of Imam Hussein.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
Could you recite the third salawat 90 يا بني لا صبر لي على النار فسر بنا إلى الحسين. I have no power, or I don't want to be punished by fire. Guide me through. Let's go to Imam Hussein. ونقاتل بين يديه فلعل الله يرزقنا الشهادة التي لا انقطاع لها. Let's go. I thought it was something different. Now the whole polarization is taking place. It's a matter of haqq and batil, nar and Ahlul Bayt. And then he comes forward. Those, if you read this history, the past history, those who were part of this battle, the chevalier kind of mentality, to show respect and regret, they normally would take the sword out of the sheath and hold it by the handle while the end drags on the ground. And they bow their head. He walks, leaves his son and his servant. He comes, disembarks from the horse, walks with the head down, bowed in absolute submission and regret. Ya Rasulullah, I was the one who stopped you first. Do I have a chance? This is a classic example of the ahsan al-khaliqin that the Quran talks about, the best of the best. They are not prepared to denigrate themselves for the material life. Yet, there are those who are sharpening their swords, looking forward to the idea of going to Kufa and so on and be rewarded materialistic at the same time. So if we want, then I will finish the English section so that other brothers that they want to recite a little bit of poetry, they will get a chance, and then I'll come back for the Farsi lecture. Tomorrow, on the 11th day, not tomorrow, 11th day, as the Ahlul Bayt is being taken out of Kufa, out of Karbala towards Kufa, Umar ibn Sa'd instructs his army to take the family of Imam Hussein, Ahlul Bayt, close to the area where all the bodies are thrown all over the place. And Imam Sajjad, on a camel, as he gets close to the site, sees the body of all his brothers, his friends, his relatives, but particularly struck by the body of his father. Zainab says, historians claim that he suddenly reacted in a way as if his soul was coming out of his body. Zainab comes in front of him and breaks his sight of vision, and then says, لا يجزعنك ما ترى فوالله إن ذلك لعهد الله من رسول الله إلى جدك وأبيك وعمك. Don't worry. Don't be despondent, oh my nephew, because this is a divine decision. Informed, your grandfather was informed, your father was informed, and your uncle was informed. The beginning of it is nothing. I just want to focus on something which is going to be the theme for tomorrow afternoon. It says the day will come. Soon there will be individuals that they are going to bury these bodies that are thrown all over the place, and they build a mausoleum. But better still, history will witness individuals that would carry the mantle of Abu Abdullah and propagate his message and the value that contained within the message and the whole values that inspired him and encouraged him to rise against the tyranny of Ibrahim. Where we stand tomorrow, how psychologically we prepare ourselves tonight and where we stand tomorrow clearly defines our position on a continuum that we have. Either Yazid, there is no grey area in between, either haqq or batil. That Marhum Dr. Shariati in one of his books, but I think it's the one Hussein Waritha Adam, makes a comment. He says, in this conflict between Haqq and Batil, if we use the metaphor of Yazid, Hussein and Zainab, there are no way out. We either have to fight like Hussein against the tyranny of the day, or carry the message like Zainab to those who deserve to hear it, or be like Yazidis. There are no other way out. How do we clean ourselves, or spiritually and physically tonight, to carry the mantle tomorrow and say labbaik depends on our own responsibility. A few nights ago, I talked about the concept of intidar and waiting during the occultation. The passive and the active dimension. The active interpretation is that Imam will not come back until we prepare, we lay the ground for it. If we are inspired by Abu Abdullah, by the values that exist within his message, we cannot accept tyranny and injustice in our community, because it's mutually exclusive. It's either or. What we do tonight clarifies our position tomorrow afternoon, and the promise that we give tomorrow afternoon becomes an eternal promise which we play within history with others. Inshallah, I went way over the time, but I will give my brothers here time for them to do their recitation, and then I'll come back inshallah to continue with the fasting speech. Assalamu alaikum.